Mom, why do you look so tired lately? She just set a cup of tea down in front of me, her hand trembling ever so slightly. She offered a weak smile, the kind that doesn't quite reach the eyes. Oh, you know, just the usual. Getting older, but I saw the deep, new lines etched around her mouth, the pale, almost translucent quality of her skin. Then she added, almost as an afterthought, and my anemia must be acting up again. I've seen a little blood in my stool from time to time. The moment she said those words, a cold, sharp alarm went off in my mind. A physician's intuition, honed over decades, screamed at me. This was not the simple fatigue of aging. This was something else entirely. Hello, my name is Dr. Arthur Miller. I am 85 years old, and I still see patients 3 days a week as a specialist in colorectal surgery. Over the course of my long career, I have treated countless patients with colorectal cancer, and without question, the most heart-wrenching cases are always the ones who walk into my office far too late, individuals who dismiss the small, quiet signals their bodies were sending them until those whispers became a roar. Let me ask you a question. How much thought do you give to the health of your colon? What specific steps do you take to manage it? I invite you to share your health habits and routines in the comments below. I am always eager to learn from the wisdom of others. Your story could be the catalyst that helps someone else. My mother, Elizabeth, suffered from constipation for as long as I can remember. I can't recall the last time I felt truly empty. She used to say with a sigh, it was her constant, unwelcome companion. From her younger years, she struggled with difficult bowel movements, but she had resigned herself to it, believing it was an inevitable consequence of getting older. Everyone has their cross to bear. She'd say, and this is mine, watching her strain in the bathroom every morning, her face turning a shade of crimson, had become a normal part of our family life. At the time, even as a practicing doctor, I saw it as nothing more than a common Arbeitszewre case of constipation. Looking back now, I am chilled by the simplicity of that judgment, by how easily I accepted her explanation. It was a dangerously complacent assessment. Have you ever experienced something similar? A family member, a spouse, a parent, a sibling mentions a minor discomfort, a naging ache, a persistent issue, and in the busyness of life, we wave it away. It's probably nothing. You're just stressed. Take an aspirin and get some rest. Have you ever overlooked a small signal, dismissing it as insignificant? Then one sweltering afternoon, my mother collapsed while gardening. She was sweating profusely and disoriented. We rushed her to the hospital, where blood tests revealed a case of severe, unexplained anemia. It was in that stark, sterile emergency room that the full force of my intuition hit me. My mother, who had always prided herself on her robust health and resilience, had fainted from an unseen internal weakness. The shock was indescribable, a physical blow that left me breathless. Our entire family was gripped by a terrifying uncertainty. Throughout the initial test, my mother kept insisting, I'm fine, Arthur, really, just a bit of a dizzy spell. But her face, drained of all color, told a different story. It was the color of fear. A colonoscopy revealed the truth. There, on the right side of her colon, the ascending colon, was a large tumor. My mother was 74 years old. The news fell upon our family like a thunderclap from a clear blue sky. I remember the moment the oncologist delivered the diagnosis. We all just crumpled right there in the small, impersonal consultation room. The world seemed to tilt on its axis, and the only sound was our collective, choked sobs. The despair of that moment is a scar on my memory, as vivid today as it was all those years ago. If we had continued to ignore her body's small signals, the fatigue, the paleness, the occasional blood she dismissed as nothing, my mother would not be with us today. Her story would have had a very different, tragic ending. Fortunately, the cancer was caught in time for a successful surgery. That experience became a defining moment for our family. It was a harsh but necessary wake-up call that forced us to fundamentally reevaluate our lives. Starting at the dinner table, we threw out the processed foods and embraced a diet rich in dietary fiber. We started a new family tradition, a walk together at the same time every evening, rain or shine. And we became unflinching advocates for regular preventative health screenings. Today, my mother is vibrant and healthy. She regained her strength and her zest for life. She's active in her community and even volunteers to deliver meals to other seniors. Her journey taught me more than any textbook or medical conference ever could just how critically important it is to listen to the subtle whispers of the body. This story is a crucial part of the larger message I want to share with you. To understand the whole picture, you need to hear it through to the end. Through my mother's close call, my conviction as a physician was forged into something unbreakable. It is this: early detection is not just a medical term. It is the line between hope and despair, between life and death. So I ask you, how closely are you listening to the small signals from the people you love? And how closely are you listening to your own? Here are 5 critical warning signs. Your body may be sending you 5 alarms that could signal colorectal cancer. Warning sign 1, a diet low in fiber and high in processed foods. A prolonged diet centered around instant meals, processed meat, and refined carbohydrates creates a hostile environment in your gut. When your body is deprived of fiber, bowel movements become less frequent. This means that harmful, toxic substances linger in your intestines for extended periods, dramatically increasing their contact time with the delicate lining of your colon. This prolonged exposure can lead to inflammation and cellular changes, elevating your cancer risk. Our bodies are designed for a simple, elegant process: take in nutrients and expel waste. Dietary fiber is the unsung hero of this process. It acts like a broom, sweeping the colon clean. Without sufficient fiber, this system breaks down. Waste products become stagnant, and the health of your entire digestive tract is compromised. The health of your gut is inextricably linked to your body's overall immune function. When the balance of your gut microbiome is disrupted, when harmful bacteria outnumber the beneficial ones, it leads to more than just indigestion. It can trigger a state of chronic inflammation in the intestines, creating a fertile ground for the development of cancer. Consider the case of a patient of mine, Mr. Davis, a 67-year-old contractor. For years, his daily diet consisted of a burger for lunch and a bowl of instant ramen for dinner. Vegetables were a rare and unwelcome sight on his plate. He was perpetually constipated and complained of a constant, heavy feeling in his stomach. But he was busy. He ran his own business and told himself he didn't have time to focus on fancy meals or health management. During a routine checkup that his wife had forced him to attend, his doctor recommended a colonoscopy due to his age and symptoms. The results were sobering. Mr. Davis had multiple polyps, one of which was a large adenomatous polyp, a type with a high risk of becoming malignant. He was a hair's breadth away from a cancer diagnosis. His story is a stark reminder that convenience often comes at a very high price. The solution doesn't have to be a radical, overnight transformation. Start with a simple, achievable goal. Ensure that at least one of your daily meals prominently features vegetables. This doesn't mean you have to prepare an elaborate vegetable dish. A few leaves of lettuce and tomato slices in your sandwich, a side of kimchi, or a simple salad with your dinner is enough to start making a difference. The key is to shift the balance of your plate away from processed items and towards whole, plant-based foods. Above all, consistency is what matters most. Make a conscious effort to reduce your intake of processed and instant foods. Instead, flood your system with fresh vegetables and fruits. These foods are rich in prebiotics, the dietary fiber that serves as food for the beneficial bacteria probiotics in your gut. It's crucial to understand this relationship. Simply taking a probiotic supplement without also consuming fiber is like scattering seeds on barren concrete. It's an ineffective strategy. Probiotics need prebiotics to thrive and exert their beneficial effects. The synergy between them is what fundamentally improves your gut environment. Remember, A probiotic pill is a supplement, not a substitute for a healthy diet. Of course, if you have a specific medical condition, such as inflammatory bowel disease, that requires you to limit your fiber intake, you must consult with a specialist to tailor a diet that is safe and appropriate for you. For most of us, however, the goal should be a balanced, fiber-rich diet, not a hyper-focus on one or two superfoods. A healthy gut is built on a foundation of variety and consistency. Warning sign 2, incomplete evacuation and interrupted stools. In cases of cancer on the left side of the colon, the passage through the bowel can become physically narrowed by the tumor. This often leads to a sensation that you can't fully empty your bowels, and your stools may come out in small, broken pieces rather than as a single, well-formed unit. The colon is the final stage of our digestive tract, responsible for storing and eliminating waste. When a tumor grows within this space, it acts like a dam in a river, obstructing the natural flow. This obstruction can cause stools to become thin or to break apart as they are forced through the narrowed opening. This symptom is a dangerous signal that is too often dismissed as simple constipation. Let me ask you a personal question. When you use the restroom, do you feel a sense of relief and completion? Or are you constantly plagued by that nagging feeling that there's still more to pass? I once treated a 71-year-old woman, Mrs. Eleanor Vance. She described visiting the restroom 3 or 4 times every morning, trying to find relief. Her constipation had become so severe that even when she did manage to pass something, it was never satisfying. She described her stools as being like rabbit pellets, small, hard, and fragmented. For months, she attributed this to her age. The body just slows down, she told her daughter, but the discomfort grew until it began to interfere with her daily life. She became hesitant to leave the house for long periods, always worried about needing a restroom. The constant bloating and pressure were exhausting. When she finally came to my clinic, a colonoscopy revealed a significant tumor in her sigmoid colon. We proceeded with surgery immediately. Her experience underscores a critical lesson. A persistent change in your bowel habits is not something to be ignored or normalized. It is a vital signal. There are simple, practical steps you can take to promote healthier bowel habits. Start your day with a glass of warm water on an empty stomach. This gentle practice helps to stimulate peristalsis, the wave-like muscle contractions that move waste through your intestines, and soften stool, making it easier to pass. Make it a non-negotiable part of your morning routine. Furthermore, regular meals and adequate hydration are essential pillars of colon health. And don't underestimate the power of physical activity. Regular exercise, even a brisk walk, stimulates bowel function and helps to alleviate stress, which is a known contributor to constipation. A word of caution about laxatives. While they can provide temporary relief, frequent use can make the colon lazy. Over-the-counter laxatives often work by irritating the bowel lining to stimulate a contraction. Over time, the colon can become dependent on this external stimulus, and its own intrinsic ability to move waste can diminish. Rather than relying on medication, prioritize lifestyle and dietary changes as your first line of defense. If you find that you cannot function without laxatives, it is imperative that you consult a physician to find the root cause of your problem and develop a safe, long-term treatment plan. Chronic laxative use can mask a more serious underlying issue and may lead to a vicious cycle of worsening constipation. Warning sign 3, bloody stools or unexplained anemia. Cancer on the right side of the colon is often more insidious and stealthy. It tends to present later, and frequently, the first sign is not visible blood in the stool, but rather the systemic effects of chronic low-level blood loss, anemia. When a tumor in the colon bleeds, the blood mixes with stool as it travels through the digestive tract. By the time it is expelled, it can appear as dark, tar-like, or black stools. However, if the amount of bleeding is very small, or if the cancer is on the right side of the colon far from the rectum, the blood may not be visible to the naked eye at all. This is called occult bleeding. This steady, microscopic loss of blood eventually depletes the body's iron stores, leading to iron deficiency, anemia. Think about how you've been feeling lately. Have you been experiencing dizziness, shortness of breath, or a pervasive sense of fatigue that no amount of sleep can fix? Mr. Frank Peterson was a 69-year-old retired accountant who had always been confident in his health. He played golf twice a week and was meticulous about his diet. But recently, he found himself getting winded, just climbing the stairs to his bedroom. He felt profoundly tired, a deep, bone-weary exhaustion he'd never known before. He brushed it off as a sign of getting older and started taking an over-the-counter iron supplement. Assuming he was just a little anemic, the supplement did nothing. His fatigue worsened. At his wife's insistence, he went for a physical. His blood work came back showing severe anemia. This finding in a healthy adult male was a major red flag. Further investigation, including a colonoscopy, revealed he was in the second stage of colorectal cancer. Fortunately, it was discovered in time for effective treatment. This hidden internal bleeding slowly and silently saps the body of its vitality because the external symptoms can be so subtle: fatigue, paleness, weakness. They are easily misattributed to stress or aging. This is why it is absolutely critical. If your blood tests show a low hemoglobin level, you must insist on a colon examination. Anemia can arise from many causes, but in men and postmenopausal women, unexplained iron deficiency anemia should always be considered a potential sign of colorectal cancer until proven otherwise. The possibility of hidden bleeding from the gastrointestinal tract is too high to ignore. After consulting with a specialist and confirming anemia through a blood test, a colonoscopy is the necessary next step to rule out or identify a malignancy. Simply taking iron pills without investigating the underlying cause is one of the most dangerous mistakes you can make. It's like painting over a crack in a dam. You've hidden the evidence of the problem, but you haven't fixed the structural weakness. By masking the anemia, you may be allowing a cancer to grow unchecked, wasting precious time and missing the window for early, life-saving intervention. If you have symptoms of anemia, dizziness, shortness of breath, pale skin, cold hands and feet, please see a doctor immediately to get an accurate diagnosis and appropriate treatment for the root cause. Warning sign 4. A change in stool shape or caliber. This is a classic symptom of cancer in the rectum or the very last part of the colon. The stool may become noticeably thinner, like a pencil or a ribbon. This can be accompanied by an increased frequency of bowel movements and the presence of blood or mucus. The rectum is the final section of the large intestine, where stool is stored before it passes out of the body. A tumor growing in this narrow space will physically constrict the passageway. As stool is squeezed through this constricted area, its shape is altered. This change in form is a direct physical manifestation of an internal obstruction. It is a critical warning sign from your body. Let me be direct. Do you pay attention to your stool? Observing your own bowel movements is one of the most fundamental ways you can monitor your colon health. I had a patient, a 73-year-old man named Mr. George Chen. He came to see me after noticing for about 2 weeks that his stools were thin and dark. Initially, he didn't think much of it, but then he started noticing dark, almost black, blood mixed in, and he had a persistent feeling of incomplete evacuation. No matter how many times he went to the bathroom, by the time he sought medical help, the cancer was already in an advanced stage. His story is a tragedy of delayed action. Changes in stool color are also important. While black stool can indicate bleeding from the upper GI tract, like the stomach, it can also be caused by bleeding from rectal cancer. Please, do not ignore even a single instance of a strangely shaped or colored stool. Pay attention to its color, shape, thickness, and smell. If you notice any persistent changes from your personal norm, especially if your stool becomes pencil thin, is black or red, or is mixed with a slimy mucus, you must see a doctor right away. Another pattern to watch for is an alternating cycle of diarrhea and constipation. This can also be a sign of colorectal cancer, as the tumor may block the passage of solid stool, causing constipation, while allowing only liquid stool to pass around it, presenting as diarrhea. It is dangerously easy to mistake these symptoms for something less serious, like hemorrhoids. Many people who see blood on their toilet paper or in the bowl immediately assume it's from hemorrhoids and ignore it. While hemorrhoids are a common cause of rectal bleeding, you cannot and should not make that diagnosis yourself. The symptoms can be identical to those of rectal cancer. Assuming it's just hemorrhoids without a proper medical examination is a gamble with your life. Any rectal bleeding, without exception, requires a professional diagnosis. To determine the exact cause, self-diagnosing is never a safe option. Warning sign 5. A significant change in the odor of your gas. When stool remains in the intestines for too long, it begins to putrefy. This process of decay releases foul-smelling gases. While a healthy gut produces relatively odorless gas, a significant and persistent worsening of the odor can be a sign that something is wrong. If your gut microbiome is dominated by harmful bacteria, or if stool is stagnating in your colon due to poor motility, it can generate toxic byproducts along with noxious smelling gas. Think of it as a red light warning for your intestinal health. Has the odor of your gas become noticeably worse recently? The smell of your gas is a direct reflection of your gut's microbial balance and digestive efficiency. A 66-year-old woman, Mrs. Helen Rodriguez, came to her doctor with a rather unusual complaint. The smell of her flatulence had changed dramatically for the worse. She had always been a gassy person, she explained, but recently the odor had become so unpleasant that it embarrassed her. A full workup revealed that her intestinal motility was significantly reduced. This slowdown was causing waste to stagnate, leading to the discovery of several polyps during her colonoscopy. In addition to a change in odor, pay attention to other related symptoms like frequent abdominal bloating, a feeling of fullness, and indigestion. If these occur together, it's even more reason to be vigilant. A simple yet powerful habit to help with this is to ensure you are drinking at least 5 to 2 liters, about 8 glasses of water every day. Adequate hydration keeps stool soft and helps stimulate the intestines, facilitating the smooth passage of waste. Don't wait until you feel thirsty to drink. By then, you're already dehydrated. Make it a habit to sip water consistently throughout the day. Combining this with regular meals and the consumption of fermented foods beneficial for gut health, like yogurt or kefir, can make a significant difference. Drinking enough water is fundamental to all aspects of health management. A change in the odor of your gas might seem like a minor or embarrassing issue, but it can be an important clue about the state of your internal environment. If you notice a persistent negative change, take a look at your dietary habits, and if it continues, don't hesitate to have it checked out. It's crucial that we learn to listen to all of our body's signals, even the small, quiet, and sometimes awkward ones. Proactive prevention. 3 unmissable pillars of colon health. Now that we've discussed the warning signs, let's shift our focus to prevention. Here are 3 critical pieces of information you need to know. Colorectal cancer rates are soaring in younger adults. In the past, standard guidelines recommended starting colorectal cancer screenings at age 50. However, due to an alarming rise in cases among younger people, major health organizations now recommend that average risk individuals begin screening at age 45. The widespread adoption of a westernized diet high in red and processed meats, low in fiber, and sedentary lifestyles are major contributing factors. Factors like excessive alcohol consumption, smoking, and obesity are known to significantly increase the risk of developing colorectal cancer. This is no longer a disease exclusive to the elderly. The era of assuming you are safe simply because you are young is over. Chronic stress and irregular lifestyles also negatively impact gut health, potentially increasing risk. Furthermore, if you have a family history of the disease, you may need to start screening even earlier, perhaps at age 40 or even younger. If a first-degree relative, a parent, sibling, or child has had colorectal cancer or adenomatous polyps, your own risk is substantially higher. In such cases, you should consult with your doctor to create a personalized screening schedule. Genetic predisposition plays a significant role in colorectal cancer, so those with a family history require a more aggressive and vigilant approach to prevention. Our adenomatous polyps must be removed. Not all polyps are created equal. Colon polyps are generally categorized as either non-neoplastic, not likely to become cancerous, or neoplastic. The most common type of neoplastic polyp is the adenoma. Adenomas are considered precancerous lesions. While benign when they first appear, they have the potential to transform into cancer over time. This is why when an adenoma is found during a colonoscopy, it must be removed. Even a small adenoma should not be ignored. Given enough time, it can undergo cellular changes and become malignant. The general guideline for follow-up is this: if an adenomatous polyp is found and removed, a repeat colonoscopy is typically recommended in a shorter interval, often within a year or two, to ensure no new polyps have grown. If only benign, non-adenomatous polyps are found, the follow-up interval may be longer, perhaps 3 to 5 years. The exact timing will depend on the number, size, and specific type of polyps found. Regular screening is, without a doubt, the most effective way to find and treat colorectal cancer in its earliest, most curable stages, or even to prevent it entirely by removing precancerous polyps. It is crucial to follow your doctor's recommendations for follow-up exams. Removing a polyp is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of a lifelong commitment to surveillance and management. SAN. Constipation is never just a minor problem. We must stop thinking of constipation as a simple inconvenience. When waste stagnates in the colon, the prolonged contact between toxins and carcinogens in the stool and the intestinal lining can lead to chronic inflammation and cellular damage. Increasing the risk of cancer, chronic constipation can also cause an imbalance in the gut microbiome, known as dysbiosis. Further deteriorating the health of your colon is a condition that can set off a cascade of negative health effects. Establish a regular rhythm for your bowel movements. Our bodies thrive on routine. Try to use the restroom at the same time each day, and when you feel the urge to go, do not ignore it. Holding it in is a detrimental habit. Likewise, avoid sitting on the toilet for extended periods or straining excessively, as this can also be harmful. A healthy bowel routine is built on the foundations we've discussed: regular exercise, sufficient water intake, and a diet rich in dietary fiber. Stress management is another critical component. Stress can directly inhibit proper gut function and worsen constipation. Colorectal cancer is a formidable disease, but it is also highly beatable when detected early. If you ignore the signs, however, you may find yourself in a situation where even surgery is no longer a viable option and the prognosis is poor. My mother's journey taught me the profound importance of listening. While colorectal cancer is sometimes called a silent killer, our bodies are rarely completely silent. They send us signals. They whisper to us. The critical question is whether we are willing to listen and how we choose to respond. I urge you to take a moment today and review the 5 signals we've discussed. Your diet. Are you consuming enough fiber, or is your diet dominated by processed foods? Try incorporating at least one vegetable-rich meal into your day. Your bowel habits. Have you noticed any changes? Do you feel a sense of incomplete evacuation? Start your day with a glass of warm water to awaken your digestive system. Unexplained symptoms. Have you experienced unexplained anemia or seen blood in your stool? Don't just take an iron pill. Get a definitive diagnosis. Stool appearance. Has the shape or color of your stool changed? Has it become pencil thin? Do not dismiss even a single unusual observation. Gas and odor. Has the odor of your gas changed for the worse? Ensure you are drinking enough water to help flush your system. Remembering and acting upon these signals and preventive measures is the most reliable way to protect your colon health. And now, I turn the question back to you. How do you manage your own colon health? What lessons have you learned on your own journey? Please share your experiences in the comments. Your wisdom could be the guiding light for someone else. There is no greater joy for me than knowing that people are living healthier, more informed lives. Your health is your greatest asset. I am here cheering for your healthy future. Thank you for your time and attention.